Okay, so good morning, Luis. Just to present Luis to the rest of the team. So Luis Calado is our very good host from Microsoft and a key partner here in Portugal. Luis is helping us taking off a new generation of partnership with Microsoft at different levels. And it's been a good journey so far. We are still in the early days of having a dedicated account manager. How do you present yourself in what concerns to our relation with Collab?
So I'm a partner developer manager.
Okay.
And I'm assigned to Collab right now.
Yeah. So we have been doing some interesting work together. This is the first of a series of webinars that we will be doing. Okay, we have roughly 30 participants. I think we can slowly start. Let me just check if I am recording this session or not. Yeah, more. Yeah, I'm recording the session. Okay, so good morning, all. Like I said in the beginning, this is a new format, as I believe we are all working from home or from a safe location. The topic for this webinar is speech recognition and sentiment analysis powered by AI, and in this case, powered by Microsoft Cognitive Services. I have with me Luis Calado, Partner Development Manager from Microsoft. We will be doing a joint session. Before I pass on the control to Luis, I would just like to give you a quick update on how we stand today concerning this worldwide emergency. Not in terms of health. Fortunately for us, we don't have any Collab staff or any of our shareholder employees, Novavaz staff that we know that has been infected with the virus. So everybody is healthy and safe, also our family members and friends. But we see a very strong movement from our installed base, basically in two different vectors. The first one about massive move to digital channels. Okay, so this is no longer a question anymore. The physical channels are shut down immediately. Everyone has moved to digital, and this has posed some very interesting challenges from a platform perspective. As you know, our platform is 100% cloud-based, but we still have customers that are on older versions that are premises-based, and even those customers are now 100% digital and working from remote locations, which is basically the second trend. Okay, these trends are very connected to each other, and I would just like to share with you a quick list of actions that we have seen that I believe are quite interesting. For instance, one of our largest customers that was still on an on-prem scenario has basically moved 500 agents to their homes. So adopting a remote work. They have created a virtual machine concept using Citrix, not because of our platform. Okay, our platform could very easily switch from the traditional one agent Windows, that's what they are still using, to the one agent web, which I believe most of you already use. But in their case, they had legacy applications like the CRM and others that would not be so easy to migrate to the web environment. So they used Citrix to place these platforms on a virtualized environment and have these agents accessing remotely. The second issue is that most of these people didn't have personal computers at their houses, so they shipped the office computers into the houses of these people. Okay, in many situations, these people did not have broadband, so they also sent them those USB pens for broadband. And in particular, because the desktop workstations don't have Wi-Fi, you need to ship a broadband pen that has a RJ45 connection, which is a network cable, so that you can connect those desktops to a wired network that goes through 4G to the internet. Okay, so that is solved now. From a logistics perspective, they have found out that people were losing a bit of productivity. They discovered why. It had to do with a second screen. Okay, so many agents are using the two screens, especially when it concerns multi-session. So they also shipped the second screen to their agents' houses, so that they have a work ecosystem as close as possible to the office ecosystem. Okay. One more remark. All of the traditional KPIs were dropped. Okay. So now the agents are only managed purely based on productivity KPIs. So customer satisfaction, retention, and all of those KPIs are dropped for now. The only concern is to try to answer as many calls as possible and to try to solve as many problems as possible, okay? So only productivity KPI is now being managed. So we are preparing an ebook with some of these and other best practices that we are seeing according to these two macro trends. Number one, massive move to digital channels, and number two, remote work. As you know, Collab technology powered by Microsoft, we support all of these two trends natively. And should you have any trouble or you need any assistance from us, we have our teams, commercial and technical, working in real time to assist you on this massive migration. Okay. So now I will be changing the control of the session to Luis. I'm gonna stop my share here.
Actually, just to add on what Carlos just mentioned, so Microsoft, we also have moved to remote working, so nobody in the offices. Today was the day for one of our biggest partner events here in Portugal. So we are holding 200 meetings with partners, everything done remotely too, okay? And just as an example that we have put it in place here at Microsoft. So every morning we have a virtual coffee with all the colleagues. So everybody joins a call. It's optional, obviously, but where we discuss a bit about what is happening in the world, like we do in the office. And we also hold yoga classes remotely. Just for the people to feel a bit more comfort and be more close to the others. Okay, so it's actually fun. And I believe everyone should try it. Okay, so taking on this, let me just share my screen and I will just go through a few slides. And I will talk to you a bit about what Microsoft is developing around AI. Okay, so we do have different offers. There are different platforms that are being used by our partners. Today, I'm going to focus on the ones where the ones that we really prepared for the partners to develop the solutions, and the ones that Collab is taking advantage on this product. Okay, so this AI platform, we call it the Microsoft Cognitive Services, and they are a number of APIs that allow the applications to get some human functionality. So we have APIs for vision, APIs for speech, for language understanding, for knowledge management, and also for search. And search, well, it's an old topic, but actually it became a little more actual after the world got into this trend of AI, because it allows us to, after getting some information or some data that is interesting from other AI mechanism, we can then bring more data from the web through search queries on Bing or Google or other search engine. So so these capabilities, I'm not going in detail through all of them, but allow, for instance, on the vision to recognize objects. So if you have like a picture or a video, you can actually understand what's happening on that picture, on that video. You can also do OCR, like having a text written and try to identify the text. Or if we go to speech to like do transcriptions, that is actually being done by Collab. It's getting audio from calls and try to have the corresponding on text, and also it is also relevant, for instance, to understand who is speaking. We have a good use case that we developed with the courts here in Europe, where we record the sessions in court, and then we can identify the different people that is speaking along the case, and that is saving a lot of work, because people would need to write it down, saying this person said this and this and this, and this person said that. So now it's being done automatically, which is pretty good. We also have cognitive capabilities for language, like understanding the text, what is the intent in a certain text, what is the entities that are being mentioned in the text. And thankfully, I believe Collab will also show that, because they are also taking advantage of that. And other functions like knowledge capabilities, like being able to look at the text and understand the text in a way where I can ask questions about that text, and the AI will answer me with data that is part of the text, or even try to modify a bit the text in a way that is not just giving out what is written, but it's adapt to the question. So these are all scenarios that are really interesting, and that can enhance applications that our users are using. So this is just the APIs. I will go through it. So how we are making this available. So this is available to a set of APIs. They can be used in every device or with any language. So they are just web APIs. Also there are a lot in the web regarding how to use them. Okay, so and that's what Collab did, and did it really well, because I saw one of Carlos' demonstrations in some weeks back, and it was super interesting. I hope to see it today again. Just a couple of scenarios. For instance, on video, like trying to understand what is on an image like this one on the left. You see what the API is doing. So it's saying that this image has people, 5 faces are there. Is there any concern about being a racist image or not? What are the dominant colors? So this is something we can do. We can also identify objects. If you go and try it online, we do have an endpoint available. I can share the link after the call. You can actually send a picture, and it will tell you what is in the picture, and the accuracy is getting pretty interesting. Okay, so I don't mean that sometimes we fail, but actually the results are currently getting more and more accurate. Regarding speech, a good case is like asking a service to give me directions to go from one place to the other, and then getting the guidance is something that we are already used to do with our GPS devices in the car. But now it's also available through APIs that can be built into applications, and all these text to speech and speech to text is done automatically to these services. Then language services, knowledge services, there are pretty nice examples. One also interesting is this language one, where I get a call recording and I want to understand the intent of the people. So it's good to perform, for instance, analytics on the calls in contact centers, where I want to understand and categorize those calls and understand what the customer tried to get from the agent. So that's also something we can do. Super interesting. So now, sorry. Oh, sorry. did you hear anything, Carlos? Or I'm sorry about that because this slide speaks a
No,
lot. No,
no.
okay. So I was just confirming if you can hear my PC, but I believe you don't. So so now I have a couple of slides detailing all this stuff, but I prefer just to jump in and show you some examples of using these services. So let me just come here. And the point here, sometimes you will not hear, but let me start with this one.
I think, Luis, if you have the sound out coming out from your speakers instead of from your headphones, you might be able to
okay.
the sound coming in.
Let me just try that.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Still able to hear me? Or
still able to hear you? Yeah.
And let me now put the volume up. Okay, so let me just give you an example. So this is an example of text analytics. And it's actual because I just got into the Wikipedia to get some...
Can you please zoom in a little bit on your browser because the letters are really small?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I have typo here. So this was taken from the Wikipedia this morning, and an example of invoking this text analytics API. What it will give me is it will look at the text, it will identify key phrases on this text, and also some intent. I'm not doing it right now, but it can also identify intent. We can also do sentiment analysis, and in this case, since we are discussing disease, probably the sentiment is not very positive in this, obviously, and we can then go and do entity linking, which is like extracting some words from this text and getting what are the entities that are more relevant. And then if we, the example I gave you for search before, or just getting more data from Bing and seeing this data on Bing. So this is like a pretty simple example actually, but we are like running through a lot of different APIs on the text analytics space to get data more interesting for categorizing, or to get what is being discussed in a call, etc. In this case, we are just working with text. So let's look at another example here. So this one is a little bit more complex, so I wonder if you can get it. But imagine that we have a video or audio. So and I want to identify the different people in the video and to jump into a certain part of that video. I can also do it. So let's just I can pick here the person and just
our vision for the future of productivity.
Or if I can want to
how
go back to
Microsoft
Satya,
services work
okay,
across.
I can jump back to Satya. So I'm like identifying the speakers in this case. I also can extract key topics. It's too loud. So just like I want to go to where Microsoft Graph is discussed, so I can jump to that part. So this is another service that is available in this part of the language and speech services from Microsoft. So, so if you wonder, well, these are APIs for partners. Is Microsoft actually using it? Well, let me just give you a small example of it. So I have here a deck, and slowly, but we are doing it. We are also building into our Office platform and other Microsoft products some kind of tooling. So if you own PowerPoint, and probably you do, you can test this rehearse with coach feature here. So what this allows me to do is to train my presentation, and it will give me real-time feedback about how I'm going. So let me just press rehearse. You will see the PowerPoint coming up, and let's hope so. Well, it's not any fast. Let me just refresh the page just to make sure that it's authenticated and all of that, and try again. Sorry. Slideshow, rehearse with coach, not available. Okay, okay, so it's already available. I believe it doesn't want to do it today. So, well, so I can explain if I can get back, but my screen is like blocked. I don't know if it is because I'm presenting, it can be, but let me explain what does it do, and you can try it by yourself. It's a nice feature. So what it will allow you is to train your presentation. So you will like speak out the slides and you will move forward in the presentation, and it will tell you about the sentiment you are feeling during the presenting. So if you are like speaking like this, like said, it will tell you that you should be a little more enthusiastic during the presentation. It will tell you if you are reading the slides. So if I come here and say empower organizations to transform industries, it will tell you, hey guy, hey man, you are just reading the slides. Okay, so try to use different language. Or if you, for instance, use like I just used, hey, you guys are listening to me, so it will tell you, hey, that language, it's not adequate for the presentation. Please pick another way of saying it, and it will give you recommendations real time about the way you are doing your presentation, which is kind of good. And I'm apologies for not being able to do it. I don't know if it is because I'm presenting or not, but you can try it for yourself. It's available on the online and also on the other version of PowerPoint. So with this said, just a final note. I'm not going into much more detail on the services because Collab is going to show how they can be used next. But just a note that there are a lot of partners from Microsoft that are like bringing in new features and really nice and powerful features through this set of cognitive services that we have available. I believe speech and linguistics and this text analytics part is probably the one that is getting more attention. So feel free to go and look for it. I will share a couple of links that we have on the topic. And so with this, I will give the word to Carlos to explain how they are using it. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Luis. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, share screen. Yep. Okay. So for those of you that have managed to join during Luis' presentation, please also accept our apologies for changing the platform. I hope you guys are hearing okay. Just a quick back at the beginning. We are aware of a big disruption in the way that people are working today. So most of you probably are working from remote locations, from your homes. We decided to keep the agenda of this presentation for today, but we added an introduction on the COVID-19 macro trends we are observing. We are noticing from our install base two massive trends. The first is 100% digital. Okay, physical contacts are closed. People are working from using chat and video and audio conferences, and of course contact centers need to be prepared for that. And the second trend is 100% remote work. Okay, our architecture, both based on WebRTC or using some virtualization strategies, can support both trends right now. So if you guys need our help in migrating to this remote work strategy, please let us know. I'm going to skip through Luis' slides, and I'm going to jump now into the topic of today, which is speech analytics using cognitive service. So this is something that we have been working on for quite some time. It's, I would say, breakthrough technology for us. So we are using the latest of the greatest technology from Microsoft, trying to understand both sentiment and also to convert complex conversations into text that can be used for any kind of categorization or automatic form filling or stuff like that. For the launch version, we have two big areas of the product. The first is data insights, and the second is interactions history. So for some of you that might be aware of the early prototypes that we had a third area, which was live interactions. So we have decided to postpone the analysis of live interactions for upcoming versions. For now, we are focusing on just recorded interactions, okay? So if you have a set of interactions that were recorded yesterday, last week, or even in the hour before, you can treat them using this module. We are at this stage not supporting live interactions, okay? So the first area where I believe we are doing interesting work is trying to determine some kind of trends in the conversation. And in order to do this, we take a look at different parameters, okay? Both in terms of what is being said, but also in the way it's being said, okay? So we analyze things like the tone, abnormal silence, overlapping streams, okay, and this is independent of the language. And then we jump and convert voice into text, and then we extract, like Luis showed you, we extract keywords and we try to understand the intent behind what is being said, okay? And this is using Microsoft Cognitive Services, okay? You can also compare the relative performance of different agents and see when posed with a similar question, which one had a more positive outcome in terms of sentiment from the customer side, okay? And this A/B testing is very interesting, even if you are maybe trying two different approaches for a similar problem, and try to understand which approach is actually working best in your contact center, okay? Okay, we also have a more global view of what's going on into these data insights. So basically, these are dashboards. I will show you a demo right now. These are dashboards in which you can basically see more global trends. Some kind of zooming in or filtering is also available. But this basically is a high-level steering of what's going on. Okay, once you are comfortable with this view, then you can jump into the details of specific interactions. Okay, you can search for a specific one, and when you select one, you can basically go through the interaction using our dashboards and click play, click forward or reverse, and basically look at the transcript and some highlights that the platform is showing you. Okay, better than the slides is if we jump into a real demo, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, so basically this is our pre-sales demo environment. This is going to be fully integrated within the NewbieTalk or the One Contact Portal taskbar here on the left. So if we start with the data insights, the first thing that I need to do is select a different time frame. Okay, I'm going to select here a custom period. Let's go for instance, the beginning of January until yesterday. Okay, and now if we click filter, okay, let me perhaps, yeah, I think you're able to see this, okay. So we see here some cool data during this period, and this is just a demonstration environment. We had 18 interactions with an average duration of 116 seconds. The silence is 9.15 57%. Talk over or overlapping streams where agents and customers are talking over each other, and this is the average speaking time in a conversation. Okay, we have a relatively high sentiment score, roughly 75%, and then we have this classification. Okay, so how can we filter this and try to zoom in a little bit on what we are seeing? Okay, let's first of all let's select language. Okay, and let's just zoom in on English. Okay, by selecting only the English interactions, you can see here that the automatic classification that the system is doing basically is detecting some promotion, some calls related to promotions, and also some calls related to reservations. Okay, so in this example, we have a virtual travel operator, and basically we see these trends. Okay, you also see three colors. You see interactions, durations, and totals, agents, and you have the average sentiment score of each of these categories. Okay, so the next question could be, how are we categorizing calls? Okay, let me show you how we do this. So we have an engine to basically create automatic categories in which you can add a formula. Okay, so you basically enter a query in which a certain intent or word was mentioned. So in this particular case, we are searching for the word reservation or reservations, or book a room or book a flight. So I think you got the idea. Okay, the moment you edit this specific category, you can also assign a color, and you can create a hierarchy of categories. You have here the concept of parent category. Okay, so for instance, you could have reservation hotels or reservation flights, and this would automatically try to categorize what this call was about. You can add more terms dynamically, okay, and you can in real time see a snapshot of some calls that are being caught by this filter. Okay, so now if we go to the interactions history, the colors that you saw we defining earlier on are now showed here. Okay, in this color scheme. In this filter, I have all the languages. So if I again filter only by English, okay, then I will see more calls just about reservations and promotions. Okay, all right, so let me now show you a little bit more of the data that we had here. Going back to the data insights, I'm going to filter back over a custom period. On the production version of this, we will have the ability to save filters. We don't have this on this demonstration, so I'm filtering back. Okay, now we also have on the right hand side the concept of word trends, and this is basically over a timeline. When did a specific word start to be mentioned? So imagine that you guys are launching a new product, or you start having problems with a certain product. You can try to see exactly when that happened, or correlate a certain product with a certain set of keywords. Okay, and this is a very small word cloud, but as you have more and more interactions, you can filter interactions graphically by seeing which words are being said more relevantly. Okay, okay. Now I would like to show you a specific interaction. I have previously selected one. In this case, we have a customer calling in about a problem with his car. Okay, and we will see the process of going through the recording and seeing exactly which kinds of adjustments and conclusions can we take. Now let me see if I can also put my audio. Yeah, Luis, can you just tell me if you guys can hear my computer?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I'm gonna start from the beginning of this recording. This is someone asking Nissan customer service representative about the cost to upgrade the map of his car. Okay, so the areas that we see here on the screen, and maybe I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, and also yeah. So the areas that we see here on the top left, you see information about this specific interaction. When did it take place? Which campaign or service was it associated to? The average sentiment. So if you scroll down a little bit, you have some indicators. You have the general about the call. You have agent, you have client, and you see different colors in which we try to represent if, for instance, the idle time, which is 75 seconds, if it's better or worse than the average service time. So in this case, it's green, and the reference number is blue, so you are below the average for this service, which is good. The busy time in this case is red, and it's above the average for this service, which was 379. We have 1,900 and something, so we are red. Okay, you got the idea. Okay, on the on the top area you have the conversation wave, where you can see who is talking and try to determine some overlapping. We have a transcript here. On this transcript, which you can scroll, you can also just do a mouse over, and when you mouse over, you see the sentiment for that particular interaction. Okay, you see, for instance, so a nice car, and you see 97% sentiment when the agent said that. You can also comment, add some comments or notes. Comments are visual, are available for any agent or evaluator to see. Notes only for you. And you can also see on the right hand side detection of categories that are being mentioned in this call. So when you click promotions, you are then zoomed or drilled down to the view of the promotions, where you can also listen to other calls related to promotions. Okay, that's not what I'm going to do right now. And you also can see in this case some more technical details about the Microsoft engine that we are using, and if you have any kind of failure or insuccess in performing some operations. Operations are transcript, sentiment detection, key phrase or keyword detection, and also audio analysis. These are the four dimensions of cognitive service that we are using in this platform. Okay, so yeah, let me now click play so that you understand a little bit of the flow of this call.
Thank you for calling Nissan. My name is Lauren. Can I have your name?
Yeah, my name is John Smith.
Thank you, John. How can I help you?
I was just calling about to see how much it would cost to update the map of my car.
I'd be happy to help you with that today. Did you receive a mailer from us?
Okay, I'm going to click pause now. This is a fairly long call. Now, on the review transcript, you could see exactly what was translated by the engine. And also, you could fine tune and make some corrections if that was the case, okay? So for instance, if you click here and you could correct, so the agent did not say nice cars, he said nice car, okay? And you could update, and now I am basically correcting the transcript that was done by the engine. This is especially useful should you need to export, okay, or download. It was immediately corrected by the agent. You can also see the sentiment chart, okay? And this can be used for a variety of purposes, and we are still learning from our customers how can this be more relevant to you. So how can we basically evaluate this chart? This gray line is the agent, okay? The agent is fairly stable, and this blue line is the customer. And the customer started by asking what was the price to update the map of his car, okay? And the moment he asked about the price of something, his sentiment dropped substantially, okay? And then the agent asked what is the brand and model of his car, and he answered, and then he said, nice car, okay? That's basically where we stopped, sorry. And when he said, that's a nice car, the customer replied, yeah, we really enjoy it. Okay, let me try to go back there and see.
15243.
Customer
Thank
number.
you. And the year, make, and model of your vehicle?
Yeah, I have a 2009 Nissan Altima.
Oh, nice car.
Yeah, thank you. We really enjoy it.
Okay, yeah, thank you. We really enjoyed it. And now you see another peak in sentiment that went back to 92%. So if we go back to the sentiment chart, this is the peak that we are seeing right here, okay? 92%. So this is just an example, and this is a recreation of a typical situation. It's normal that during a call, Microsoft Cognitive Services has some variation in terms of the sentiment, because we are evaluating the sentiment of that specific prompt. Of course, using our algorithm, we can then try to balance the sentiment of that specific prompt compared to the whole call. Okay, and this is where this trend line becomes more relevant. Okay, which is what was the average sentiment of this call. Okay. Anyway, like I said, we are still learning for techniques to better present this information to you guys. So if you have any kind of a suggestion of what information would be useful in terms of the sentiment curves, maybe comparing this call with other calls or something like that, this is an evolving product, and we are working on this. Okay, just a final note. This is available to start deploying as it is. Okay, like I mentioned, the only functionality that we have removed from this first initial version was the live interactions, where you could do this analysis on live calls. For now, we are doing this on recorded interactions, but the good news is that you can already use your repository of recordings and basically feed those existing recordings into the engine, and you can extract already some interesting intelligence out of that. Okay, so I have let me see if I have any kind of questions here. No, not yet. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint slide.
Carlos, there
Yep.
is a question. There is a question asking about the support for other languages,
Okay.
and they are referring to Portuguese.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry. We do support all the languages that Microsoft Cognitive Services supports, which is a large set of languages. Can you help me on this, Luis? Which
Yes, I can.
languages? Okay.
Yeah, we do support most of the languages, and but actually, just to be completely honest, I feel that Portuguese is not so accurate as it is with English or Spanish. So there are languages that are a little ahead of the curve, and they are, and where the accuracy of the APIs are better. But sometimes it's a way of trying it. Actually, I every time I see this demonstration, Carlos, I get like super excited because it's really awesome to see how you guys are taking advantage of this technology. So I believe it will reach also parity in Portuguese. Okay, just for now it's not there yet. Okay.
Okay. We also have a question about Italian language.
Italian is also a language that is supported. Again, and in that case, I don't know. I don't have so much detail, but I know that that the quality is better than Portuguese. And also, I just noticed German, and German is also supported, and the quality is good. Okay, so. I don't know if you also, Carlos, you already tested those languages.
Yeah. There is we have different results from Portuguese from Portugal and Portuguese Brazilian. Okay, Portuguese Brazilian is a bit ahead of the curve concerning Portuguese from Portugal, but yeah, it's a question of trying it out. We also have a question here about
French is good too.
about the ability to deploy it on on-prem environment. Okay, there is I've already asked this question to the guys before, the tech guys. There is no technological limitation from where we stand, but it would be considered a special project for us. Okay, in the concept that this is being deployed now on our cloud, and both public and private cloud environments, because this needs direct access to Microsoft web APIs. So adopting this on an on-prem environment, it is possible. Even on our older versions, it is perfectly possible, but it needs professional services from our side. It's not basically click and deploy as it would be from the cloud.
Okay, so I can also give some nice information about that, Carlos,
Yeah.
because those APIs, so the cognitive APIs is something that Microsoft is also working to be available on what we call edge technology. So instead of using the cloud to train the algorithm, the AI algorithm, and then to make it available also during the application use.
Mm-hmm.
So we are like preparing these APIs to be available on the cloud to train, because in that case you need a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm.
But we are also making them available for application use on the edge, or that means that they can be deployed in a data center, or even as I have seen already with the Vision API, where we were deploying it on a Raspberry Pi, one of those really simple devices. So I believe you, even with professional services, but you will be able to do it on your data center without the need to use the cloud. Okay.
Okay, we have another question from Mozambique. If we send samples of Mozambique and Portuguese voice calls, are you able to run it through the system and see the accuracy levels? The answer is yes, absolutely. Either we can do that for you and then export you the translations that were done, or we can give you a trial access of this platform for you guys to test it out. And during a period of time, you can basically do your own testing and inject the recordings that you wish to, and also try to compare different sets of calls and see how the engine is working. Okay, but the answer to João Paulo Pacheco is yes. Okay, you can send us those samples, or we can give you a free trial. Also, we have
there is one of these APIs. Just let me add something.
Yeah.
So it's what we call custom speech recognition, and in that case, you also not only like have the ability to train for a specific language or tone of voice, but you also can train the models for like background noise. If you are sitting in a room with lot of people answering calls, for instance, if you are like a agent where there are a lot of agents seated next to each other, so all that kind of stuff that can be tackled through the API too. Okay, so it's interesting to get that.
Good. One more question. We have countries that speak Spanish with different variations. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can talk a bit about that. So let me highlight the example from Spain itself. So here in Spain, there is different Spanish variations across the country, and also there is even different languages if we consider Catalan like to be a different language.
And even Latin America, okay,
and
even the Spanish in Latin America.
Exactly, in Latin America is the same, but I know particularly the example here in Spain.
Okay.
What we are doing is to work with the product teams for Microsoft to adapt those language. So what is happening is actually we have a place that I can share after the call in an email where you can go and ask for that specifics. So I can't promise that it will be taken care like in the next month, but what we are doing is prioritization. So so let us know and we will handle it, because we are already doing it also for English. Like you imagine UK English, US English, they are almost the same, but they are different in a certain way. So, and we are doing it also for Spanish and for others. So let us know. I will share the link. Let us know what is the intent, and we will obviously take care of it.
Yeah, we also have Martin from Sogeris asking us about German. I would say that German is should be fairly advanced by now. What do you think about that?
German is fairly advanced. Yeah. Almost at the level of English, by the way. So.
Okay. Let me see if I have here any more questions. Do you see any question to be answered, Luis?
Looking at the Q&A, let me just...
Yeah, because we have the chat and we have the Q&A.
The first one about the languages that are supported, I will provide the list. It's a huge list, I believe, maybe around 60, but I will share them all. Okay, Italian, auto deployed on-prem environment. We already
answered that. Yeah. What about pricing? We have a question about pricing. Will there be including OPEX? Okay, so there are basically two different pricing items here. The first is the licensing for the cognitive services platform, our sentiment analysis tool, and then there's the consumption of packages of minutes of translation content and of sentiment. Okay, our sales guys and our pre-sales guys, after this wrap up, we will send you a direct information about the regional prices for your locations, okay? So that you can start doing some scenarios. Basically, you have the options here of quoting high volume or a smaller volume. And of course, a higher volume will have some benefits in terms of pricing. So for instance, the pricing for a Vodafone or a Vodacom will be different for a smaller operation. Okay, we need to determine exactly the pricing ranges, but we already have those calculations done, and we will be sending them out region by region. Okay. This was a question from Laura. Yeah. Okay. So one last remark before ending this this event. So as I said in the beginning, our realities were disrupted worldwide. Hopefully we will all be safe, our families, our friends, and this will be over soon. The Portuguese news tell us that it might last for at least 2 months. So we must all adapt to this new reality of remote work. Me and my marketing team, we are preparing a small ebook or a flyer on the best practices that we are observing in our installed base. Okay, the girls from my team have already sent out a newsletter yesterday afternoon or this morning about these two macro trends. Okay, the first, which is digital channels being king, and the second about remote work. We are compiling a lot of detail that a lot of our customers are giving us on how they are changing the management of their operation, the way they deal with the tools, and so on. If you have suggestions, and these suggestions at this stage could actually help us save lives, because I don't know if you are aware of, but we are getting extreme requests for quotes for health insurance and health service providers of our country and of foreign countries as well. We are talking about companies and government institutions that need literally hundreds of licenses for tomorrow. Okay, and they are asking us a lot of technical questions on how can we deploy tomorrow. Some of them are for instance, for employee, the employee authority that in a certain country, a lot of workers are calling in the contact centers to see how their working conditions will be in the future. Other are from doctors, okay, the ability to have to extend the health line to the doctors themselves using apps on their mobile phones. And basically it would be a second line of a contact center in which we would overflow calls from the national health line into this second line. So there's a lot of confusion and a lot of requests coming in. And if you can help us to compile these best practices that you guys are taking, I think some of these strategies can help save lives. Okay, so please take my request seriously and help us out. In the meantime, we have some more questions coming back to the topic of the webinar about sentiment analysis. A question from Leon de los Rios. What is the sentiment criteria based on? If it's only by word matching or if it's by pitch, I imagine voice pitch involved. Luis, do you want to answer or you want me to answer?
Well, we at Microsoft, we are doing it. We have APIs for both. Okay, I don't know actually too much detail on the implementation.
Yeah, we are using both. Okay, so when we go back, let me show you the tool here again. In the tool, we do the two types of analysis. So you see pitch and volume and variation based here on raw data. When we try to determine sentiment, we basically grab that voice prompt, we send it over to Microsoft, and we get the sentiment score back. Okay, so from our side, sentiment is purely what Microsoft is giving us on each step of the conversation, but we on our side are also analyzing volume and volume variations. Okay, both on the agent side, okay, like volume, noisiness, and agitation. Agitation means the variation of volume over the course of a call, okay? And volume and pitch, okay? Now we have a second question from Italy.
I will share it. I will share it. So there is one that is pretty easy. It's aidemos.microsoft.com. So there you will find most of the demos. I'm really sad for not being able to show you.
So let me open that page here. Is AI demos?
Exactly, .microsoft.com. So that
Okay.
will lead to most of the AI demos that I was showing about the video indexer, all the others. But I would recommend also for you guys to try the PowerPoint one. I noticed that after stop sharing, it started working. I believe it's regarding some like some problem with the two tools working together. So
it's
give
PowerPoint rehearse, right?
It's rehearse coach. Yeah.
Rehearse coach. So let me also
really,
write this here. Rehearse coach. Okay.
Exactly. Rehearsal coach. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So just try it. It's a really nice feature that will also bring in your presenter skills together. So it's really good.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Sometimes you will feel depressed.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, so just making the question public. So the question was if it is possible for us to share the links to the demos of cognitive services, and Luis answered yes, we will share the links to you guys.
Yep.
Okay, so I think this is a wrap. Thank you all for your time. Please stay safe, stay at home, and let's do our best to help the community out there. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a nice day. Cheers. Bye-bye.